Now I'm happy to introduce our next storyteller, Cody F. Miller. He will tell a story titled Grace about how the kindness of strangers changed his life. Please welcome Cody.
So I grew up in a small little village called St. Louisville, Ohio, which is about an hour east of here, and it's sandwiched in between Newark and Utica, about 350 people. I loved spending my summers there just catching stuff down at the creek, you know, crawdads, frogs, turtles, all that stuff. Early on in our life, the ground really started to shift underneath our family's feet. My father, Jim, died in a tractor accident. And when I'm about the age of 8, my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My brother, Adam, and I just noticed from a very early age how my mom kind of really worked hard to make this kind of makeshift village of people to support her and our family. When I was about 10 years old, we went down to Florida for a week to visit my grandparents. And in short order, they introduced us to their next door neighbors, Bob and Jan, and they were really sweet and nice. I remember my very last day there, my grandparents threw a birthday party for me, and they came and they got me this gift, which is a really odd gift. It was a Jaws coloring book. I think just use a red crayon on all of it, right? So, you know, and then I was at this awkward stage where I noticed like the woman in the bathing suit more than the shark that's getting ready to eat her, and they were all embarrassed by that. My mom kind of laughed it off and it was all good. So right before we left, my mom exchanged phone numbers with Jan. Fast forward about 2 years later, my mom's MS is just getting really bad, and she's at her wit's end with my brother and I. And I noticed that her phone calls are increasing more and more to Jan. So one day, my mom is sitting in the dining room and she's listening to 8-track on one of those huge furniture stereos. I don't know if you remember those, you know. And she's sitting there, she's smoking her cigarette, and she just calmly takes it out, looks over at me, and she's just like, hey, I just want to let you know that Bob and Jan, they're going to be selling everything and they're going to be moving here to help our family. I didn't really have anywhere to put that. A couple of weeks later, she reiterated this same thing, that Bob and Jan were going to come here and help our family. A couple of weeks after that, I'm coming in from mowing the grass, I'm getting ready to get some lemonade, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, I'm, hello? And she's like, hey, Cody, this is Jan. I want to let you know we're about 4 hours away, and we'll be here, you know, real soon. And I just kind of, it was this slow-mo thing between putting the phone down, right? And when I put it down, then everything just went quick. Because I realized, I looked around the whole house and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is an absolute disaster. At that point, we had made a makeshift bedroom for my mom down in the living room, but her bedroom was still upstairs. So I rushed upstairs and changed the sheets and crammed stuff in the closets and started dusting things off and putting things away as best I could. It was still a hot mess when they got there, but it was a little bit better. So I remember it. Bob's driving in his big old Lincoln Continental with the U-Haul in the back, and I could just see it. They're taking in this little village of like 350 people. You know, they're taking in our tired-looking house, and they're taking in our really awkward welcome. And it was just this look like, oh my God, what the hell have we gotten ourselves into? A little bit about Bob and Jan. Bob was from Sicily, had very dark skin. Jan was of Swedish origin and had very light skin. They were married in 1961, and from day one of their marriage, they dealt with racism. Bob was a boxer, a very good boxer. Probably could have been a professional boxer, but when the mafia asked him to take a dive in a fight and he ignored them, he realized, I need to step out of this. He then directed his energy towards like a youth club for troubled youth, a boxing youth club, things like that. Jan had this incredible smile to go along with this absolute encompassing sense of hospitality. also coupled with this ferocious spirit of fighting for you. And if she's for you, she's completely for you. They completely brought a sense of stability to our home. Within about 3 or 4 months, they moved out and lived in another house about 20 minutes away. And then about 3 or 4 months after that, my brother and I moved out because my mom could no longer take care of us. We went and lived with an aunt and uncle for a short period of time. And then my brother went and lived with another aunt and uncle until he graduated from high school. I went and lived with Bob and Jan. This was a very difficult arrangement. I really had no idea how to interact with a healthy family environment. I moved away many times, and I moved back many times. Each time they were trying to find a situation that would be best for them. Basically, a home that could give me in many ways what they couldn't. And I would just go and blow things up, and I would come back and I'd blow things up, and I was always in this state of like, who am I? Where am I going? Where is my place in this world? It's this emotional blitzkrieg of a teenager. The crazy thing is whenever the dust settled, I knew that they would be there. I knew that they would be there. I knew that they believed in me. They knew I loved making art from an early age. And I remember Jan, she bought me this large, Van Gogh art book, and inside description it said, "To the next Van Gogh." And I thought how outrageous that was, but I thought it was such a nice sentiment. I remember Bob driving me to Fort Hays for the Governor's Award because I had some artwork in that. And I remember us driving back and him saying that he thought my work had this kind of distinctive voice to it. I had no idea what he meant, but I got the sense that it was a compliment. The very last year that I lived with them, Jan died. They actually lived in Florida because she had a compromised immune system. We were devastated, especially Bob. But shortly after that, Bob did this really weird thing, or kind of odd thing. He bought this old wooden boat, and it was so tired, and it needed so much work. So Bob worked 8 to 9, he worked till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and this was my ritual for the rest of the school year. I would come home, I would do my homework, I would eat dinner, I would go out in the garage, I would bring my stereo, I'd crank REM, I would climb up into that stereo system, stereo. I would climb up into that boat, and I would just scrape. I would scrape for 3 or 4 hours every day, just scraping all the old varnish off of it. It was weird. It was like this thing became a cocoon. This kind of almost became this sanctuary. There was something beautifully methodical about scraping on that old boat. When we finally got it done, we took it to Buckeye Lake a couple times, and it was really fun. And it really became this beautiful way of kind of processing Jan's death together, of kind of taking this old thing and resurrecting it. When I left his home, it was the end of my summer of my junior year, and I did not leave on good terms with Bob. And not to get into it, but it had a lot to do with me just being a very self-absorbed teenager. That was about 32 years ago. So, to this day, I am still asking myself the question, why would Bob and Jan give up everything to help a family that were essentially strangers to them? As it sinks in more and more, I'm baffled, I'm confused, I'm perplexed in a really beautiful way. I think all of us can think about times where we planted seeds but we didn't see the harvest, and they never were able to reap what they sowed, but it never deterred them. So Bob and Jan, wherever you may be, I hope this short testimony may do you justice. I hope that you will know that your sacrifice was not in vain. I hope that you will know that your expensive grace for me completely changed the trajectory of my life. The author Anne Lamott said, I don't understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are but does not leave us where it left us. The grace she bestowed upon me was instrumental in me graduating from the Columbus College of Art and Design, for me teaching and promoting artists with disabilities for over 27 years, for me volunteering in a local food pantry for the last 8 years, for me painting murals for children recovering from cleft palate surgery in China, and for me constantly exploring the theme, the word grace, in my own mixed media art. When I think of your love for me, I think even the smallest act of kindness might just change somebody's life. So Bob and Jan, I thank you so much for being a neighbor to me. I hope you're as proud of me as I am of you. Thank you.